But realistically speaking, if they're looking to make this a competitive game, keeping the variables low, it sounds like a very important thing, right? If you have a ton. It is a great day to talk about Project A. My name is the King Live, and today we're going to be talking about different game modes in Project A. What an exciting topic. This one was written by your boy, Patrick Starr, one of my favorite shows in the world, SpongeBob, big SpongeBob guy. Will Project A have other game modes? This is something that we got to talk about. Is it something that people are looking forward to? We could talk about games like League of Legends, which is Riot Games' other title, which it has games like ARAM, Earth, and Twisted Treeline or Dominion, which were both removed at this point in the time. Or we could talk about CS, where it does not technically have different game modes, but it does have the workshop, which is pretty interesting. And we can talk about Call of Duty, for example, which is another FPS title that is similar to Counter-Strike, kind of, not really. And then it is an example of an FPS with a lot of game modes in it. So before we get into that, though, if you are not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, be sure to do so below. Or if you're watching on Twitch, then hopefully we can get a link for that somewhere. Join the Discord. We have a lot of really freaking cool people in there. We've been growing so fast. People have been pointing out Discord channels for smaller streamers don't generally grow at a very fast rate, but we're getting like 10 new members a day, which is absolutely freaking crazy, dude. And then spend some time with your dog. I've heard, like people say the whole meme where it's like, a dog is only a small part of your life, but you are that dog's whole life, dude. That makes me sad. That kills me every time. So spend some time with your dog, okay? What do we know? The game mode that we had access to was Search and Destroy. This is a quote from Henry G. when he was talking on his Twitter. He said specifically, the game mode that we had access to. Those are very specific words right there. That is implying that there's other game modes, okay? We know the initial game mode was 12 rounds, Search and Destroy. And that's about it, dude. Thanks for watching. I'm just kidding. Riot Games experience with other game modes. Okay, Riot Games had other game modes in the past. They had Twisted Treeline for League of Legends, which was a 3v3. They had Dominion, which was an entire flop. They released the game. It was like an arena thing that was supposed to be like super fast paced and stuff. It was supposed to be like really fun. It was all right. It had a very small player base. Earth decreased the amount of players in the game. That was the thing that they publicly came out and stated. It's the ultra rapid fire mode where everything has 80% reduced cooldowns and there's no mana costs. This actually caused less players to play the game. I think it's because it was so busted that when they would play it, they would get kind of burnt out on it, and then they just wouldn't want to play League anymore. And it's like a really interesting situation where another game mode actually negatively impacted the game. And then they also have ARAM, which has been the only game mode that has consistently stayed through the game for like a pretty long time. They used to do it in custom games, and now they have like their own actual game mode where it does it for that. ARAM stands for all random, all mid, so it gives you a random character. Everyone goes in one lane. It's kind of fun. It's more of a relaxing game mode, And then you look at other things like Counter-Strike, which has Workshop. This lets the community create things for the game, which is actually really interesting. So that's where you get things like surfing, which was like a huge deal. I remember I was watching a surfing video like a few weeks ago, and I was supposed to be working on stuff, but I just caught up watching the surfing video because it's so satisfying to watch. And the cool thing about the Workshop is it gives Valve like so much other time to focus on other things like Dota, and not Counter-Strike. I don't know. Valve can focus entirely on Dota because of this. It's awesome because Counter-Strike has Workshop. So what is the main goal of Project A? People are going to debate this. Is it casual? Is it competitive? My personal belief is that to have a successful competitive game, you need to have a casual audience. This is something that I've said a lot in my videos. I'm just a random dude, though. I don't really know if this is absolutely true. I'm not a business person. I'm like hardly a marketer. Not really, and this is just what I believe, though. I believe as a casual player, I don't think a game is going to succeed without the casual audience because you're not going to have anybody to watch the pros. What does the pro scene matter if nobody's going to watch it, That's where you get all the money from. You get money from people watching the game. That's for marketers and advertisers and stuff like that. Riot doesn't put this much work into it for this to not be a competitive game. They don't put in all this time into like all the back end of the game, like with the net code and like the servers and stuff. They don't worry about all the tick rate just to have it be like some casual game. They're putting in all of this work for competitive players to make sure that it is a competitive game. What do we see on release? As far as game modes go, what can we expect on release of Project A? I think on release, we're going to see one game mode. Despite the fact that he says the game mode that we had access to, maybe there are other things. Maybe we could see something like gun game. But realistically speaking, if they're looking to make this a competitive game, keeping the variables low, it sounds like a very important thing, right? If you have a ton of game modes and you're focusing on all the game modes, you're trying to balance around all of these game modes, it's going to be very difficult for a competitive game if they have this game mode over here that some people are playing, in this game mode over here, and then they change an ability on one character, and suddenly he's broken in the other game mode. But like he was better now in the first one. Like it seems very difficult to find a balance there. Other games have proven that you don't need multiple game modes to succeed. So you get a game like PUBG, for example, on release. It was just the one battle royale. It was the one map. And it was wildly successful for like the first couple of months. Eventually, like it flopped a little bit, but you got to keep in mind, like for the first couple of months, PUBG was like the game. Like that was it. You know. Counter-Strike, also for example, does have the workshop, but for the most part, they just kind of focus on the base game. That's what it is. They edit the guns and stuff. They try to tweak it and everything. That's what they focus on. And then League of Legends, the prime example, it's by the same company. The ARAM isn't what carries League. What carries League in the long run is the fact that it's League of Legends. You know, it succeeds as an entity of its own. Having one game mode also gets rid of the rivalry. So, for like example, if you go into a game like Call of Duty, I remember there was the people who were like the hardcore players, and then there was the normal players, you know? And there was like that tension there, where it's like if you're not playing hardcore, you're not like a real gamer or something like that. Or it's like the same thing in ARAM, you know? In League of Legends, where it's like if somebody's playing ARAM, they're like less of a human. that's not entirely true, but like, oh, they just play ARAM. Okay, I don't really want to play ARAM. And that, like, me personally, I don't like playing ARAM. I just don't. So I don't know, when I meet people who play ARAM, I'm like, okay, well, they play League, but do they like really play League? They play like ARAM, you know. I would never like hate on somebody for that, but like that's the kind of mentality that does exist for some people, you know. It's only a fraction, or a fraction's the player base basically. So if you have multiple game modes, you're gonna have these people who are playing this game mode and these people that are playing this game mode, and like even though they're playing the same game, they're not really interacting. So for example, when I used to play StarCraft, I would just play StarCraft custom games. That's all I used to do when I was a kid. And then lastly, I listed the rivalry can be like really fun, but this is for like no reason. So like you fraction the player base, you get people to like kind of hate each other or not hate each other, but just kind of be like feuded at each other. And it makes people feel kind of inferior, for a lot of the time. So it's like, well, I play normals, and it's like, well, yeah, I know I'm kind of a scrub. You ever talk to somebody and they're kind of embarrassed to talk about what they like or the game mode that they play? It's like, oh, I play League. Well, I only really play ARAM, you know? And like the way that they say it, it makes them like sound like they're inferior to like a normal player and stuff. It's kind of weird because you're always going to have that one competitive game mode. You're never going to have multiple competitive game modes for a different game. I don't think it's StarCraft. Like, I guess they tried to do it with 2v2 and stuff like that, but it's not really the same. Most people just played 1v1, or in Counter-Strike. You don't like have competitive surfing tournaments, or maybe you do. I don't know. But for the most part, it's the one game that is like a big deal, you know. That's another thing in Counter-Strike. They also have the hostage mode, which is like really weird. Hostage mode I thought was really odd. Nobody plays the hostage maps. They just never did. There probably will not be a community creator in Project A because Riot's history with League of Legends, they don't really like it when people touch their game and they like mess with things. I remember there was like a time where I guess people probably still do this, but you would do like skins for the game. You would do custom skins, and like your opponents couldn't see the custom skins, but like they're kind of like touchy on that for like a while. I think they kind of like they still allow it now. Or you could like modify your map to make it like look different. You can get like map skins. It's very difficult to do these things a lot of the times. So yeah, they aren't too keen on it particularly. But then you have StarCraft 2 maps, customs and stuff. I say this like once a week. I think, to be honest, I think the community creator is like a really awesome thing, and it breeds a lot of really awesome games for the community. So then, like I said, we have things like CS:GO surfing. You have the maps in StarCraft 2, which is it wasn't StarCraft, but it was Warcraft. That's where MOBA games came from. Literally people playing Warcraft, and they made Dota on Warcraft, and people started playing Dota, and that's where League of Legends came from, you know. So I think that this is a really good thing. You get the creative ideas from other people in the community with like the little effort of actually creating like this workshop for them to work with. So that's kind of a bummer that it probably won't be in the game. That's my assumption. It might. It's possible, but I don't think it's likely. I think they even made a statement they don't want to do custom maps, etc. They just want to make good games. It took them forever to even add practice tool in League. Yeah, that's another good point. Why didn't we have practice tool for like the longest time? It's so odd. They just like they really don't like people messing with their game generally. PUBG came from the DayZ mod, which came from Arma. Yeah, there's another example. PUBG. No, this is why I think that this stuff like this is super beneficial, and it's like kind of disappointing that we're probably not going to see it. But this isn't meant to discourage people. That's not the point that I'm getting at. If Riot won't have other game modes, and if they're not allowing the workshop, like somebody just said in chat, that probably means that they're just focusing on making the game really freaking good, which is what the playtesters have said. Everybody who's played the game has said that this is the best game that they've played since Counter-Strike. League of Legends has been around for 10 years, largely with one game mode, and it's the largest esport in the world. What is like you don't need crazy game modes for it to be amazing. Even though he said that is the game mode that they had access to, I'm not entirely sure if that's just like an NDA thing of him being like afraid to like say like too much, or like afraid that he's going to confirm that there isn't any other game modes or anything. But if you're looking for gun game, which is something that I'd like to see, be prepared that we might not have it. It's possible. I'd like to see gun game, if any game mode. Like, I think gun game is a pretty good one to get used to the weapons and stuff, but it is a small sacrifice to know that they are working on something that is just going to be freaking awesome. So I'm excited about that. But let me know what you think. Will Project A be search and destroy? Do you think there will be gun game? Let me know in the comments below if you're watching this on YouTube. We have a lot of input in chat, which is really freaking awesome. This has been a lot of fun today. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, like the video, join the Discord. We have so many awesome people in here, like all the awesome people that you see in chat right now. We're all really freaking cool, and we post selfies sometimes and do question of the day. And massive shout out to our boys in chat: Shooter, Waffles95, Grego, True Corruption, Akimbo Healer. I wrote a Kimba typo there. Kirby9412 and Skippy MM. We had 2 typos there. Oh my gosh, I'm the worst. I appreciate you guys for redeeming your shout outs on stream. You guys are freaking awesome. Yes, thank you. I don't know what else to say. Thanks again. Yeah.